Alright, welcome back to my channel. So the first thing we need to address is this really bad under-damping that's happening with this trailer. So as you can see, it bounces a lot, and that's probably because the shocks here are under-damped. So these shocks I ordered are rated for 4,000 pounds each, and clearly it's not enough. And the next largest size up is supposed to do 8,000 pounds each. So my plan is to see if it would even work by trying to combine these, adding 2 shocks to each rear wheel, and then just deflating the air from the front ones and just have the rear ones inflated to see if 2 of these red ones that equal 1 of the black one is enough dampening force to not have the trailer oscillate so much. I've bought some all threads somewhere, and hopefully this will help me assemble everything. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I went through various combinations of trying both shocks on the rear, comparing side by side, maybe with 1 shock and 2 shock. The front bags have technically negative PSI, so the bag's kind of collapsing in on itself, and the rears are filled to 50 PSI. But from what I can tell, running 2 shocks at technically 8,000 pounds combined versus 1 shock at 4,000 pounds, they don't seem to be any different. So maybe my way of testing is wrong and jumping on it won't really prove anything, because I think that's considered low frequency, and I myself just jumping on it and isn't able to produce a high frequency response. So I don't really know if upgrading to a 8,000 pound damper would be enough at this point. So this dampers, I don't really know too much about shocks or where to get an appropriate size shock for my application, but usually they're filled with gas, and they're usually either normally opened or closed. But I'm guessing this isn't filled with any gas, because wherever I put it, if I close it, even though it's hard for me to push in, it stays closed. And then if I open it, it stays open. So I'm guessing there's no gas in here, and it's just fluid going through orifices that determines its load rating, and I have no idea what load rating I need for this thing to stop bouncing so much on the freeway. Guess we'll see if I end up buying the 8,000 pound one or not. Yeah, let me know down below if you know anything that I should know or learn, or anyone that can help me fix this problem of mine. Alright, so we're back at the shop. It's been about 2 weeks. I ended up ordering the new dampers. These are twice as stiff as the old one. Hopefully they'll work, so I guess we're about to find out, since I need to go pick up a lift, but I want to test this out on the road before I go get it. So it's missing some spacers, so I need to measure up and make some new spacers to mount onto the trailer. As it is now, it won't quite mount properly, and I can't use the old one because the old dampers have a different eyelet. So that's where I'm going to start. Batteries died in the last clip, but I got them all mounted up, and it does seem to do better at dampening. I don't know if it's enough, but it does seem better. I wish it was stiffer, but this is the stiffest one in this form factor that I can find. Alright, I gotta go. Be back to finish the rest. Alright, so it's been a couple of weeks since the last clip. I've been doing some shop upgrades. Got some new lights, there's some more on the way, and I got myself a lift. This took a while to get installed, wired, and bolted down. I've also been doing maintenance on the truck, but fenders for the trailer came in a while back, and so now I'm back on schedule to try to wrap this up soon. So yeah, we left off with installing these shocks, and I went to pick up the trailer, I went to pick up the lift with them, and they worked phenomenally well, way better than the old one. And now we're gonna move on to finish the rest of the small tidbits of stuff that's left. Here we go. Alright, since the welder is right here, we'll just start from the front and work our way back, starting with this awkwardly failing piece of spare tire mount. So this happened due to a poor weld job. Pretty much no penetration on this side and a lot of porosity, so gotta take this box off, move it aside, clean it up, and then weld it back on. Probably weld some gusset plates on there too. clip, but basically we got this all welded up. Put some, I guess they're called fish plates or gussets. Not really gussets, I'm guessing they're fish plates on both sides. Hopefully it's going to be much stronger than last time. And I'm going to paint it later when I touch up everything else. I think the next thing I'm going to address are these awkward bolt-on fenders I have, or had, after I lost a few. So here's the new one that I bought. Probably going to cut them in half, so I'll have 4, and then permanently weld them on somehow. Quick, and then prep before I weld it onto the wheel well, or the wheel arm, so I don't have to deal with trying to paint this upside down. And then while this dries, I think I'm gonna just prep the arm, strip the paint so I can weld it on. So that's what's next. So the primer coat is drying. It's a little bit cold outside, so I'm going to give it a little bit more time. You saw that I stripped this arm, so it's ready to be welded on, but I probably won't be able to do it till tomorrow and let the paint dry a little. Next thing I want to fix is this guy. This guy doesn't... I welded on a piece of filler rod to stop this sign, but I guess it wasn't enough, because I think what was happening is this guy, the magnet wasn't strong enough, and it would pop off sometimes and then knock out, fall over, and then destroy my little stop. But the other thing was, when I was welding that stop on, I didn't realize it, but there was a plastic bushing in there. And that kind of melted a little bit, which lets it do this now. So, good thing I have another hinge. And I recently got a 3D printer, so I 3D printed myself a little stop. So we'll see how well that works. If this plastic stop still doesn't work, maybe I'll find some time and make myself a billet aluminum one or something. And as for this magnet not being strong enough, I think what I'm going to do is add some more material here, and then put another magnet, because this also came in a 2-pack, so hopefully that will keep it down. So that's what I'm going to do next while the paint dries. It kind of works, but it's already kind of failed. So I'm gonna take it home, probably try to print another one. Hopefully it could be stronger because it does have infill in it. Maybe I'll try to print it 100%, see what happens. Okay, it's a new evening at this point. The next day I let the paint dry overnight. Looks like the underside turned out just fine. There's a little bit of runs. You can even see that, but who cares? And got my new solid stop printed out over last night, and I guess we'll see how well this new stop works. And I'm running out of welding gas, so also get them started and welded on here at least, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, got it mounted. Looks like it's much stronger than before. Pretty springy. I guess I don't really want to try to break it. But looks like the double magnet here works twice as well, I guess. Guess we'll find out if that'll hold. Now it's time to get these fenders welded on. I got all the fenders welded on. They're pretty solid. I don't think they're gonna fall off. They might not be perfectly straight, but you know, I think I'm kind of over this. I'm gonna let the welds cool off a little bit before I clean them up and throw some paint on it. In the meantime, I'm going to address this deck that's flopping around. The bolts I screwed in, I guess the tube thickness is not thick enough, and they started stripping the threads in the tube. So I think I'm gonna just rivet them in just for looks, I guess, and see how well they go before I permanently weld. I just don't want to deal with paint and stuff, so just maybe just delaying the inevitable at this point. But that's what I'm going to do, rivet them in and see how that works. Alright, I got all the rivets in. Hopefully they are strong enough to resist the deck from popping out. I think what happens is when I try to load the car and the airbags aren't supporting the frame, when the car drives up, this area will sag a little because it's being supported from that end to the end of the truck. So there's a lot of sag happening right here without the airbags helping. And right here, because this plate is made out of two pieces, when it bows down, the deck wants to shift. But there's so many screws on that side and this side that when it bows down, there's not enough shear force for all the plates to slide over, and the only place for the plate left to go is up, and so they're trying to rip these bolts out. So hopefully this the rivets are strong enough to resist the pull out, and now I know to now that I've tested it, I know how much air to leave in the back so it supports the deck without having it bow too much. So all that's left is to clean everything up, touch up some of these areas like this, and get it ready for paint. Alright, I think that is everything that I need to paint. I'm not very good at brushing. There's a lot of runs for some reason. So, I'm gonna let it dry, come back tomorrow, throw the wheels on, and I think that'll be it. So, next track day will be a couple of weekends, and see how well that goes. Alright, I forgot one more thing. It's the next day, so my paint has had time to dry. There's a lot of fuzz in here or whatever, but you know what happens when you just paint it out in the middle of a shop, I guess. But I noticed when I was towing that my tires would change camber from time to time, and I have a feeling I know where it's coming from. So we're going to take some time now and take a quick peek to see if this pin is the cause of all of this. So, I don't know if you can see, but this pin is kind of just floating on this outer plate. And I think some of them, they're not centered in a way where it sits centered in this outer plate, so it kind of jumps around. This plate is oversized because the middle of the pin is a larger diameter than the threads out here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make some sort of bushing that I can push in that isn't super tight, because the bushing will need to come out in order to get this pin out. So I think think that's what I'm gonna do. Make a few lightly slip-in bushings. Alright, looks like that fits pretty well. All I did was I used the nut to press it in, and in it went. I'm sure it could be a lot tighter, but this is probably way better than it used to be. So now I just need to make 7 more of these. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but this rod is off center. So I'm gonna put this one in. Hopefully it fits and centers up. And I'll do the same to the rest, and then we should be done with everything I wanted to do. I guess that's as well in as it's gonna get. It kind of got smashed and I broke a cotter pin. So yeah, that's what I gotta do for the 3 wheels now. And I'll do that and then we'll be done. Alright, I got everything buttoned up. All the wheels are back on, the toolbox got bolted down. Guess only time will tell if those bushings I made actually work. In hindsight, I feel like maybe I should have just welded that bushing to the rod or even make a new rod. But I really didn't want to deal with trying to take that pin out and shove it back in. So I guess we'll see how well the bushing fares before I try to decide to make new ones or whatever. I think the fenders turned out alright. Anyway, till next time, don't know what else I'll be working on, but I guess we'll see.